Yo, what's up, everybody? I'm super excited because next week we just announced that we are going to be hosting a live workshop about storytelling. I believe storytelling is the most powerful modern skill. I think it's not even modern. I think it's the most important skill, period. If you look through history, the most influential people, the people who had the most power, the most whatever, if you talk about religion or politics, in any domain, the most powerful people in the world were storytellers. They weren't the smartest, the fittest, the strongest, any of that. No, they were able to create a compelling narrative that motivated the masses towards a objective. If you think about, the power of Disney to control the societal narrative around us, because they do this with story that impacts us at a cultural level. Like, you just can't underestimate the impact of story. Now, story was valuable for me both in growing my businesses, but also in helping me understand who I was in relation with the world, because it's not just about the stories we tell to others, but it's the stories that we tell to ourselves, and how we tell those stories has a massive impact on the results that we achieve. And so I'm really excited to host this webinar. It's going to be on November 2nd. If you want to check it out, you go to anthonyvicino.com/story-workshop. So anthonyvicino.com/story-workshop. And in particular, I want to talk about a little bit what we're going to talk about in that workshop. But I want to talk about the three most important aspects of a story, which is the beginning, the middle, the end. That's the long and short of it. You have to have a good hook. You have to have a reason to keep people compelled through the middle. You have to have something that ends with a feeling of resonance and conclusion that makes people feel inspired to go and do something. We're going to unpack all of that in the workshop. But today I want to talk about, when it comes to social media content in particular, if you're using that to grow your personal brand or your business, there's a few different types of content that you could really create around different types of stories that you can tell. And so I wanted to break those down. I have a list of, there's like 6 off the top of my head that come to mind, which is, you have listicles, you have story, you have observations, contrarian takes, you have analysis, and then you have then versus nows. And these frameworks are actually really helpful when it comes to sitting down and trying to create content, rather than just pulling it out of the blue, having a template ready to go, so you just kind of know, okay, this is the type of framework that I'm going to try and follow on this piece of content. So I want to give a couple examples of these. The listicle, this is very classic, like, hey, top 10 quotes from influential leaders that you need to know, or here's 5 books everybody should read, right? Like, one of my most recent YouTube videos was 12 books you should reread every single year. That is a listicle. The next one is a story. Like, it's just a simple, straightforward story, which is, if you go back to one of the most popular stories or popular videos on the YouTube channel, what was it called? From $80,000 in debt to millionaire in 3 years. Here's what I did. And I really just share the story of my journey when starting with my fiance leaving me at 28 years old, finding myself in the back of a van and $80,000 in debt, and then what I did from that point moving forward. And so that was actually a story combined with a bit of a listicle, because I also shared 4 things that I did that helped me. Lists are always very helpful because the human brain thinks in chronological sequences. And so the more that we can sequence things in a number way, like in a list, the human brain really enjoys that quite a lot. So lean into that. An observation. This is where you take something that you're seeing out there and you just expand on it, or you share your thoughts. And I do this a lot on this podcast, where I'll be scrolling through Instagram or Twitter or something, and I'll see something and I'll respond to it. So for instance, the other day I tweeted, people who don't have a following teaching people who also don't have a following how to build a following is the ultimate blind leading the blind. And yet it appears to be the most common business model here on insert literally any platform. So I'm taking an observation. Hey, I'm seeing stuff that's happening on Twitter. There's a lot of people that are growth experts teaching people how to build million-person audiences and all this stuff. And yet you look at their profile and you're like, you have 10 followers. I don't understand. Like, what do you know about this? All right. So that's an observation. Contrarian take might be something like, my tweet just today actually was something along the lines of this hustle culture advice is absolutely garbage. And the piece of advice was you need to take massive action. So just calling that out and saying this is bad advice, stupid advice. Don't listen to this. That can be another way to generate that content idea. An analysis is taking something that you did maybe, or taking something somebody else did, and then breaking down why you think it worked. For example, sometimes I'll do a post that's like, hey, if you need to make $10,000 next month, here's what you can do step by step. So it's kind of a listicle, a step-by-step analysis, but then an analysis of why it works. So it's like, go buy $200 worth of equipment from the store, go register your LLC with the State Department, and then go knock on doors to wash windows, whatever, right? So it's like an analysis of each part of that and why it could or it might not work. And then the last form or template that you can use to create your content is a then versus now comparison. So like a where you were versus where you are now. Like reflecting on that journey to kind of like create an arc for people, because the best stories start at the lowest point in the story, or right before that low point happens, right? When the character Frodo is in the Shire and he's not really doing anything with his life. Now he has this call to action. He has to go out there and, do this adventure, right? We want the start there, but where you are on your journey right now is probably not there. Like you probably were at that low point. So you have to start there and then draw the contrast to where you are now in that journey that you've taken in the meantime, which again is like that. One tweet that I do sometimes is like, hey, at 28, I was homeless in the back of a van in debt. Now at 38, I am not those things, right? So you're kind of like drawing that contrast. And there's so many content ideas and stories that you can tell to interweave in these different styles and templates. And when you know what those levers are and like how to pull them both technically and emotionally, you can have a lot of resonance and you can impact a large amount of people with whatever it is that you hope to impact them with. Hopefully it's for the good of the world. But I guess if you're up to nefarious things, more power to you. Good luck with that. I'm just kidding. Don't use storytelling for evil. That's bad. That's evil by definition. But okay, so those are 6 or 7 different ideas for ways that you can come up with content ideas. If you want to go into the mechanics, definitely come to the story workshop. It's going to be awesome. If you can't make it live on November 2nd, that's okay. You can still sign up because the recording will go out to you that same day. You can review it and watch it at your leisure. But to sign up for that, go to anthonyvicino.com/story-workshop. And get registered today. And depending on when you're listening to this, if the November 2nd has already passed, you can still go to that URL. You can still sign up to get the recording. And I highly recommend you do that, because we're gonna go deep into how you can start creating what we are calling 7-figure stories. So we'll see you there. I'm excited. So excited, actually. It's first workshop that I've done in a long time. So looking forward to it. Hopefully we'll see each and every one of your smiling faces there, because when I do this podcast, it's usually just me staring at a camera. But at the workshop, it will hopefully be me staring at your beautiful faces. So see you guys there. Until then, stay hyper-focused, my friends.